The United Kingdom has long been aware of the importance of environmental protection and sustainability. It has been a global leader in adopting policies to mitigate climate change, preserve natural habitats, and promote green energy. The UK's geographical location and diverse landscapes also shape its climate, which varies considerably across its regions. Environmental policies and initiatives. Commitment to net zero carbon emissions. The UK government has committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050, making it one of the first major economies to do so. This target is enshrined in law and aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions across all sectors, including energy, transport, agriculture, and construction. The Climate Change Act, 2008. The UK was the first country in the world to introduce a legally binding Climate Change Act, which set a target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least 80% by 2050 compared to 1990 levels. In 2019, this target was revised to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, reflecting the urgent need to address the global climate crisis. The 10-point plan for a green industrial revolution, launched in 2020, this plan outlines the UK government's strategy to drive economic growth while achieving environmental goals. It includes investing in offshore wind, hydrogen, nuclear power, electric vehicles, public transport, energy efficiency, and carbon capture, usage, and storage, CCUS. The plan aims to create up to 250,000 green jobs and position the UK as a leader in clean technologies. COP26 Presidency and Global Climate Leadership. The UK hosted the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26, in Glasgow in November 2021, where world leaders, scientists, and activists convened to negotiate and agree on measures to combat climate change. The UK used its presidency to advocate for more ambitious climate action, including pledges to end coal power, halt deforestation, and increase climate finance for developing countries. Transition to renewable energy. The UK has made significant progress in transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources. The government has set ambitious targets for increasing the share of renewables in the energy mix, reducing reliance on coal, and phasing out internal combustion engine vehicles. Offshore wind power. The UK is a world leader in offshore wind power, with more installed capacity than any other country. The government aims to quadruple offshore wind capacity to 40 gigawatts, GW, by 2030, enough to power every home in the country. The Dogger Bank Wind Farm, located off the northeast coast of England, is set to become the world's largest offshore wind farm upon completion. Solar and hydropower. The UK has also invested in solar energy, with over 13 gigawatts of installed capacity, primarily from rooftop solar panels and solar farms. Hydropower contributes a smaller share of the UK's renewable energy, but innovative projects, such as tidal power schemes in Wales and Scotland, are being explored to harness the country's extensive coastline and tidal range. Decarbonising transport. The UK government has announced a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2030, with all new vehicles required to be zero emission by 2035. Investments are being made in electric vehicle, EV, charging infrastructure, public transport electrification, and research into alternative fuels, such as hydrogen. Biodiversity and conservation efforts. The UK has a rich natural heritage, with diverse ecosystems ranging from moorlands and forests to wetlands and coastal habitats. The government and various organisations work to protect and restore these habitats through conservation programmes, legislation, and community initiatives. National Parks and Areas of Outstanding Natural Beauty, AONBs. The UK has 15 national parks, covering nearly 10% of the land area, and 46 AONBs, which protect the most beautiful and significant landscapes. These areas are managed to conserve wildlife, landscapes, and cultural heritage while promoting sustainable tourism and recreation. Biodiversity Action Plans. The UK government has developed various biodiversity action plans, BAPs, to protect endangered species and habitats. These plans include initiatives to conserve important wildlife areas, such as the Natura 2000 network of protected sites, which are part of a European-wide effort to safeguard biodiversity. Rewilding and habitat restoration. Rewilding and habitat restoration projects are gaining momentum across the UK, aiming to restore ecosystems and reintroduce native species, such as beavers, lynxes, and wildcats. Initiatives like the Knepp Estate in Sussex, the Scottish Wildcat Project, and the Great Fen Project in Cambridgeshire focus on habitat restoration, ecosystem recovery, and public engagement. Waste management and circular economy. The UK government and local authorities are working to reduce waste, increase recycling rates, and promote a circular economy, where resources are kept in use for as long as possible, and waste is minimised. The Waste Strategy for England, 2018. This strategy outlines measures to reduce plastic waste, improve recycling rates, and promote sustainable packaging. The government has introduced a plastic packaging tax, incentivizing companies to use more recycled materials, and has banned single-use plastic items such as straws, stirrers, and cotton buds. Extended Producer Responsibility, EPR. The EPR scheme makes producers responsible for the end-of-life management of their products, including packaging, electronics, and batteries. This approach encourages companies to design products with recycling and reuse in mind, reducing the overall environmental impact. Sustainable agriculture and food systems. The UK is working to make its agricultural sector more sustainable, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, promoting biodiversity, and supporting local food production. Environmental Land Management Scheme, ELMS, the ELMS, set to replace the EU's Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, post-Brexit, aims to pay farmers for environmental services, such as restoring habitats, improving soil health, and reducing water pollution. The scheme promotes sustainable farming practices, regenerative agriculture, and agroforestry. Sustainable Food Strategy. The UK government has launched initiatives to promote sustainable food production and consumption, including encouraging plant-based diets, reducing food waste, and supporting local and organic farming. Organisations like the Soil Association and Sustain advocate for more sustainable food systems, promoting organic standards, community-supported agriculture, and healthy school meals. Climate of the United Kingdom. Geographical influences on climate. The climate of the United Kingdom is shaped by its geographical location, maritime influences, and varied topography. The UK is situated in the path of the North Atlantic Drift, a warm ocean current that brings relatively mild temperatures to the country, particularly in winter. Maritime climate. The UK has a temperate maritime climate, characterised by mild temperatures, moderate rainfall, and frequent cloud cover. The proximity to the Atlantic Ocean, prevailing westerly winds, and the influence of the Gulf Stream help to moderate the climate, reducing the extremes of temperature typically seen in continental climates. Regional climate variations. The UK's climate varies considerably across its regions. Southeast England, the southeast, including London, tends to be warmer and drier than other parts of the country, with relatively mild winters and warmer summers. Southwest England and Wales. These areas experience a mild but wetter climate, with frequent rain, especially in the autumn and winter months. Midlands and Northern England. These regions have a more temperate climate, with slightly cooler temperatures and higher rainfall than the southeast. Scotland. Scotland has the coolest climate in the UK, with colder winters and more snowfall, particularly in the Highlands. The west coast of Scotland is wetter than the east, with the Western Isles and the Highlands receiving the highest levels of rainfall. Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland has a mild and wet climate, with relatively small temperature variations throughout the year. The western parts are wetter than the east, with the Mourne Mountains receiving significant rainfall. Seasonal weather patterns. The UK experiences 4 distinct seasons, each with its own weather patterns. Spring, March to May. Spring in the UK is characterised by gradually warming temperatures, longer daylight hours, and the blooming of flowers and trees. Rainfall is relatively moderate, and the weather can be changeable, with sunny spells followed by showers. Summer, June to August. Summer is typically warm, with average temperatures ranging from 18 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. However, heat waves can occasionally push temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Rainfall is generally lower, but thunderstorms can occur during warmer spells. Coastal areas tend to be cooler, while inland regions, particularly in the southeast, can experience hot and dry conditions. Autumn, September to November. Autumn is characterized by cooler temperatures, shorter days, and falling leaves. Rainfall generally increases, and the weather becomes more unsettled, with frequent showers and strong winds, especially in coastal areas. Winter, December to February. Winters in the UK are generally mild compared to continental Europe, with average temperatures ranging from 1 degree Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius, 34 degrees Fahrenheit to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Snowfall is possible, particularly in Scotland and the higher elevations of England and Wales, but prolonged periods of snow are rare. Rain, frost, and fog are common, especially in low-lying areas. Extreme weather events and climate change. While the UK's climate is generally moderate, it is not immune to extreme weather events, which have become more frequent and intense due to climate change. Flooding. The UK is prone to flooding, particularly in low-lying areas, river valleys, and coastal regions. Floods can result from heavy rainfall, storm surges, or the overflow of rivers. Recent years have seen an increase in severe flooding events, such as those caused by Storm Desmond in 2015 and Storm Dennis in 2020. Heat waves. The UK has experienced several heat waves in recent years, with record-breaking temperatures observed in 2019 and 2022. Heat waves can pose health risks, especially for vulnerable populations, and put pressure on water supplies and energy infrastructure. Storms and high winds. The UK is susceptible to storms, particularly during the autumn and winter months. Atlantic storms, such as Storm Kira in 2020, can bring heavy rainfall, strong winds, and coastal flooding, causing widespread disruption to transport, infrastructure, and services. Droughts. Although less common than flooding, droughts can occur in the UK, particularly in the southeast, where water demand is high, and rainfall is relatively low. Droughts can affect agriculture, water supply, and ecosystems. Impact of climate change. Climate change is expected to exacerbate these extreme weather events, leading to more frequent and severe floods, heat waves, storms, and droughts. The UK government and local authorities are working to improve resilience to climate change through investments in flood defences, early warning systems, and community preparedness programs. Public awareness and community involvement. Environmental advocacy and organisations. Numerous environmental organisations, both governmental and non-governmental, play a vital role in raising public awareness, advocating for policy changes, and promoting sustainability in the UK. Friends of the Earth and Greenpeace. These NGOs are active in the UK, campaigning on issues such as climate change, deforestation, and plastic pollution. They work to influence government policy, mobilise public support, and drive corporate accountability. The Wildlife Trusts and Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, RSPB. These organisations focus on protecting wildlife and habitats across the UK. They engage in conservation projects, education, and advocacy to safeguard biodiversity and promote sustainable practices. Extinction Rebellion, XR. XR is a decentralised, global environmental movement that started in the UK in 2018. It uses non-violent direct action and civil disobedience to demand urgent action on climate change and ecological collapse. Public participation in environmental actions. The UK public is increasingly aware of environmental issues, with many individuals and communities taking action to reduce their carbon footprint, protect nature, and promote sustainability. Community groups and local initiatives. Local environmental groups, such as Friends of the Earth local chapters, transition towns, and conservation volunteers, play a key role in raising awareness, organising clean-up events, planting trees, and supporting local biodiversity. Green consumer choices. Consumers in the UK are becoming more conscious of their environmental impact, opting for sustainable products, reducing plastic use, recycling, and supporting ethical brands. Initiatives such as Plastic-Free July, Meat-Free Mondays, and Zero Waste Week have gained popularity. Education and outreach. Environmental education is an important part of the UK school curriculum, and many schools participate in programs like Eco-Schools, which encourage students to take practical actions for the environment. The United Kingdom is committed to tackling environmental challenges and building a sustainable future. From ambitious climate policies and investments in renewable energy to grassroots conservation efforts and public engagement, the UK is striving to protect its natural heritage and ensure resilience in the face of climate change.